Right? Okay, I'd like to call to order the November 17, 2025 work session order at 6 p.m. Today we are joined. Dave Stuka is going to be the lead on this staff report. We're discussing wastewater rates. If you'd like to take it away, Dave.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, good evening. It's good to see you. It's been a while since I've been here. I'm here tonight with Steve Donovan from Donovan Enterprises. Steve's been doing the city's rates for over a decade now, I think 12 or 15 years. A few years ago, we did an exercise similar to this on the water rates. Went through, looked at the structuring, made some modifications to it. It's been working very well for us. We've had some recent community inquiries that's kind of sparked this time to go through this again for the wastewater. There's some housing discussions that are going to come up tonight. There's also some commercial discussions that are going to come up. We'd like this to be open dialogue. So at any point you have a question, just stop. Don't feel like you need to hold it for later. Let's just get an answer to move through because it may lead to another discussion that's useful for us. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Steve to run through his PowerPoint. And once again, if you have questions.
Great. We will be brisk and we will be to the point. We're going to push tonight some things that are going to be new to you in terms of how you actually send out a sewer bill and who gets a sewer bill and who pays a sewer bill. And Susan, if we could just. I think copies of this are in your packets, so we can. If we haven't confused you, I'm sure we will. Go ahead. So first of all, we're going to talk about why we are here, and there's going to be an ask at the end. We're going to need some guidance from you. We're going to have some recommendations for you to consider. They will be changes, and they will impact people's bills. So this is really important stuff. There's going to be some policies. There's going to be a slide on the policy implications of what we're talking about here. And then next steps. Go ahead, next slide. So I apologize for the wordiness of all this, but we wanted to talk about single family, multifamily, and commercial. That is the composition of your customer base. Now, in terms of the single family, 92% of all of the active sewer accounts and 73% of all the revenue comes from the single family home customer. So, I mean, that's the elephant in the room. Multifamily counts for about 22% of the revenue, and commercial, surprisingly, you probably would have lost a bet on this, is only 3% of your revenue from sewer in the city. So the preponderance is single family. The next slice is multifamily. Now, why are we here? Well, we've been approached by an apartment owner who is wanting to get a reduction in his bill because he's of the opinion that apartments, particularly in our opinion, one-bedroom apartments, use less water and generate less sewage than a single-family home. Currently, we charge a base charge. If you think about your sewer bill, there's a base charge and a volume charge. Everybody pays that same base charge. Now, to add confusion to the issue, this particular apartment complex owner that we're talking about is master metered. What that means is there's one water meter that supplies his entire apartment building complex. So we don't know what each individual apartment is consuming relative to water, or conversely, how much wastewater is entering the sewer system from those apartments. So that's the rub.
Steve, can we stop for a second? So, if there's one meter, we obviously know how much water is coming in. And so then the assumption is X proportion going up, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And is this in all of our apartments within Scappoose? Are they all 1 meter?
Not necessarily.
Primarily, yes, though.
The answer is primarily yes, but not necessarily. So it's another conundrum for us all to consider. So in terms of this group, we're talking about a total of 564 of these apartment complexes or apartments, dwelling units are out there. And as conversely, in the commercials, there's only 125 commercial accounts. Go ahead, Susan.
Do you know how many of those 564 are one bedroom that we're considering?
We do not.
Okay.
Yeah, you're seeing where we're going here with this. So here is for your graphically oriented folks. On the left is the revenue that gets generated by these groups. And if you'll notice, I was talking family, multifamily, and commercial. When we were diving through this data, we also wanted to take that multifamily and we wanted to break that in half or break it apart into manufactured homes and true apartments. And we've got two accounts that represent about 180 dwelling units that are in what they call the manufactured homes. And once again, those are all master metered.
Is
So-
that a park situation or what?
Mobile home park, and then Spring Lake Community is the other one, which is true, the manufactured homes.
And both of those are master metered?
Yes, yes. So as you can see, how big is the bread box here? Last year, you generated $3.1 million in sewer revenue. 2.3 of that, at that $3 million, 3.1 million came from the single family. 545,000 came from the multifamily group. 149,000 from those manufactured homes, the mobile home park and Spring Lake. And then the commercials, $153,000. So in terms of the accounts, which is the chart on the right, 2,387 single family homes. You know, that's, like I said, the elephant in the room. And then 75 apartment complexes that we define as apartment complexes. 2, as we just discussed, Spring Lake and Crown Point. Crown is the mobile home park, and then the 125 accounts. So that just gives you a layout for the football field here.
Like a 4-complex townhome where there's 2, 2, 2, and 2. Is that under apartments? A
It would be.
multifamily?
It would be.
Like
It
there's
would be. Yeah,
fourplexes,
it would be.
duplexes?
It would be. Go ahead, Susan. So what we are proposing now, before we jump into this and we're saying you are not compelled to oblige this apartment owner to give him a reduction in his fee. There is nowhere under the rules or the laws that says you have to do that. This is a business practice. And by the way, it's a business practice that goes both ways with communities in Oregon. Your friends in St. Helens, they do it just the way you're doing it now. An EDU is an EDU. Every connection gets that gets that fixed charge every month. I know of 2 other communities that I work with, Molalla and Silverton do it the same way you do. Portland does it differently. They have a lower rate for their apartments. So you're not compelled to do it, but there's no standard for it out there. So what we're talking about on the single family, remember this base charge and volume charge. Keep that in your mind. Under the blue here, you guys, each one of you in your single family homes gets charged $78.71 a month for that base charge, and then 6.5 cents per 100 gallons of measured water, with the first 40 100-gallon units included in that base charge. What we're proposing to do, or our recommendation, would keep the base charge the same. So the lion's share of the rate stays the same, but we increase the volume charge to 10 cents from 6.5 cents, because we're assuming we're going to have to make up lost revenue from our multifamilies if you choose to give that reduction. And we're suggesting that you consider reducing the allowance in the base charge from 40 units per month to 20.
Can I ask, no, you said first 40 gallon, 100 gallons, so that's 4,000 gallons?
That's 4,000
Is your
gallons.
Base charge.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's
And then
correct.
the other number's 20, so that would be 22,000.
And the average single-family home throughout the year uses 4,270 gallons. So almost all of their fee per month is fixed.
Is that based on Scappoose data or is that?
Scappoose data.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just like, remember when we did one with the water? We went through, we looked at all the accounts.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty helpful to have live data for you. What this would happen, what this would do, if you choose to give the apartments the lower rate, we're going to make it up predominantly from the residentials. It would be $2.09 for the average single-family customer would go up to recover most of the revenue that we're losing from our reduction in the multifamily fee.
Can I ask, how much of the savings would that be to the individual living in a multi-family unit? Would that be- would that be-
It all depends on the contractual relationship between the apartment owner and the lessee. We don't know. That's on the other side of the meter.
Yeah, there may be none.
There
It's
may be
all-
none.
It's all within how they manage their own.
How they manage it. This may be just net profit to this apartment owner by getting,
That's what I was, okay, so that's what I'm saying, so it's not necessarily he will reduce.
you
the
are
cost.
correct.
Okay,
But looking at this, you're proposing a volume charge increase and also a decrease in the amount that.
The allowance, absolutely.
The reason behind that is when we went through the water exercise a few years ago, we all, especially council, took the stance of this helps those who conserve. So if you have a high water user, they're going to pay a little more. If somebody's more on the conserving side, it gets dialed back, because what this will ultimately do is slow down the rate at which we have to increase the base charge. We're going to do a shift to where you start being a little heavier on commodity and minimize that base rate fee. Otherwise, we're locked into having to increase that base at a constant known based on our costs.
So the 209 increase is even considering the fewer for your gallon. I
Yes,
mean,
yes, it
so
is.
you take off 200 gallons.
That's correct.
Do we know the range of apartment size throughout the city? Are they,
We
How many
do not.
one-bedrooms
This
do
is
we do?
another struggle for us. And then one of the things we said, we don't know necessarily how many one-bedroom apartments there are out there. So what our proposal is, and we'll get to our staff recommendation. That's a great point. I mean,
well, that's what I'm struggling with. because
Right.
What's the nexus in between?
where's the nexus? We don't know, because we don't knock on people. When we send somebody a bill, we don't say, are you a one-bedroom apartment, a two-bedroom apartment? We just send a bill.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. So that's about $60,000 of additional revenue we'll recover from the single family, which will help buy down the loss of revenue from the multifamily. Now, go ahead, Susan, next one. Here's the multifamily and a thumbnail to give you a better look of, who are these people? What are they? Total multifamily dwelling units is 750. There's 564, quote, conventional apartments, 168 mobile homes or manufactured homes. Remember those two accounts I talked about? And then there's 18 dwelling units that are in a mixed commercial residential where there may be commercial below and an apartment above. There's 18 of those dwelling units. So what you're looking at here is just the pie chart there. The preponderance of the multifamily truly is apartments. Go ahead, Susan. Now here is the multifamily, and we'll both go back and forth on this a little bit because Councilor Miller, you hit it, you nailed it on. I mean, how many one bedrooms are out there? How much revenue are we going to have to reduce? We had to make some assumptions. We could reduce the base charge from $78.71. That's a familiar number because that's what everybody's paying. And we'd reduce that to $63.97. And Dave, the $63.97 was, how did I?
So that's a 20% reduction, just so you know, evenly. And that's based on EPA guidelines.
So that's the hook that we use to come up with the discount. What we're talking about then also is reducing the volume allowance from 40 to 20, just like we did with single family, and to move the volume charge from 6.5 cents to 10 cents. So reducing the base charge, but increasing the volume charge. Net effect is we would have a reduction of revenue to the system based on this proposal of about $125,000, $124,662. So that's what the revenue that has to be recovered from other classes.
so what's the average gallon used in a multifamily residential unit?
We don't know because it's master metered. So think if you got a 10-unit apartment complex, there's one bill that goes in and there's one water meter. We don't know if apartment 1 used a lot of water and apartment 10 used a little water.
There's no average that you guys done?
Well, with a simple average would be take 100 divided by 10, but to answer your question, we don't know.
Is there a way they can put a backup meter so they can keep track of their own, or they're gonna have to charge the 0.1 for their whole usage
For their whole usage.
and then divide it just equally?
And
amongst
once
all their
again,
units?
we don't know what their contractual relationship is with their tenants, how they do that.
They can charge a 1-bedroom a
You
certain
bet,
amount.
you
two-bedroom a
bet.
different amount.
You bet. This is
Maybe-
the struggle.
I don't see how, it could probably be the other way. It can probably be, they be paying more because if they're reducing the amount of gallons. And so let's just say 40 gallons were base, now it's only 20 gallons per base. And so for additional volume, it'll be 10 cents per gallon, right?
It's
Per-
per
per-
100.
Per
100
100 gallons, per
Okay.
100 gallons.
Or
Like
per
the mayor
100
was right. He said 40 units is 4,000 gallons. Think
Per
about
thousand,
that.
okay, per 1,000 gallons. So, I mean, would they be paying more?
They-
There's nothing to keep the landlord from charging whatever they want.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
That's correct.
When I used
Benefit
to-
the landlord.
When I lived in a multifamily, we were charged per square foot. I can tell you that we used way more water than any other unit, even though our unit was the smallest in the building, because we had 4 people, whereas most of them had 1 person.
And I'm here to tell you, as an elected body, you don't want to get into that business of playing Solomon, of determining which apartment uses which water. We sell water to a meter. Whatever happens beyond that meter is a relationship between a tenant and an owner.
So I've got a kind of a mind question here is so would we be here talking about this were it not for the apartment
That's-
dweller?
We would not be here.
We would not be here, okay.
We would not be
And so,
here.
and there are no guarantees that this money gets passed on to the apartment.
Absolutely not.
Only one in all my 9 years of here have ever come forward. And I mean, there's 50 some other apartments and nobody's ever said a word. This is a one-off.
So this is just doing our due diligence here based on a community request.
And it is it's a rather big apartment. And when we did do the comparison of average, yes, we didn't look at specific units, but when you took their average usage divided by how many units they have in the facility, I mean, they were under 80% of what our typical average of 4,000, whatever you said,
4,070.
Yeah, they were under that. If you just took it per unit for that particular thing. And, their complaint, their issue is, it's about development. And they have all their reasons behind there. They did know those rates when they first came into town, the things were set up that way. But it was just their discussion about that. And when I was in Stanfield, we did have a similar, it was 80%, but we did it for all multifamily, but it is a city-based decision. So it was just a discussion. We thought we should look at it. And then Dave also had other things he wanted to change in our structure anyways. So we just kind of lumped those together.
Yeah, let's do that. It's a good lead in. Go ahead,
Have
Susan.
we done when we did the water changes though, have we made any changes to the water rates for
Yes.
multifamily?
Well, actually, what we did on the water, we built what's called conservation-based rates. So then, Councilor Miller, you were actively involved in that. I mean, we were counting noses, frankly. And what that does is, for the first block of water is priced at a certain point. And the next block of water is higher, and the next block is higher. So the more water you use, a higher cost per unit at the meter. And once again, now you bring up a great point about, well, how do we know what each apartment is using in terms of water? We don't. All we know is what goes to the meter.
And again, he can't put anything on his people's meters to check who, so he can give them a savings based on their usage. Like if this is master metered, so he can't control the usage.
No.
And so when using the water, we didn't give them a benefit. We didn't do this thought for them at that time. We didn't lower their consumption on our water rates. But that was before they were in, you guys did this before they were.
Oh, yeah. Was that 3 years ago? I think three, yeah.
Because they'll ask for that next, right? If we're doing wastewater sewer rates, they're gonna want.
Well, you've already got a system in place there.
Yeah.
I mean, based on, if you use less water, you'll get a lower bill because it'll be cheaper for you.
Well, and they can adjust their rates if they charge their tenants accordingly too. So
Sure.
They don't
And-
know who's using less rates.
They're not gonna do that.
They're not
Well,
gonna do that.
if you have a 1-bedroom versus a 2-bedroom versus a 3-bedroom, there's probably a theory that can be. Yeah.
Right, and one of the claims that that landlord or the landowner did make is they were losing tenants because just the rent overall was too expensive. Looking for ways to cut the rent a little bit to keep people. Whether or not he does that, I can't vouch for. We can't force that. That is very true. That was the onus of his reaching out. It could be all profit based. That is behind them. I don't know if they would lower the rent or not. That was just the claim that it would help him be able to reduce some of those costs and leave people.
I don't really consider that as a valid argument because everybody's having to bear that inflation, whether it be a owner of a house or an apartment. So I don't.
Yeah, that seems like a hollow argument, doesn't it?
And then going forward, we're looking at building more apartments in Scappoose. I mean, is this keeping people out of Scappoose building apartments? In our 50-year plan, we said we need more multifamily. Is this?
It's a construction change to me. They need to individually meter their.
They could, that's the key is, build the apartment complex to have each unit individually metered for utilities,
That's
like
what they do at the time of
condominiums do.
That's on them at the time of building.
That's on
Or
them.
they can do it after, but
But
it's on them.
that's a significant increase in the cost.
That's a significant increase in cost, and we deal with land, with our system development charges all the time. Utilities are not what's driving the profitability of an apartment complex. It's the cost of land, it's the cost of construction. So what we do want to talk about with commercial and industrial, I think Ben brought the point up, we wanted to do something different with this group. Once again, remember, this is 2% of your total revenue comes from the commercial. The way we do commercials now is kind of, well, it's not with the industry average. Every account has that same $78.71 per month base charge. But in the case of your commercials, each one of your commercial accounts is given what's used to be called a SIC code, Standard Industrial Classification. That doesn't exist anymore under federal guidelines. And over time, this system has kind of had babies to the point where we now have 25 unique commercial account codes and 19 unique commercial volume codes. For these 125 accounts that we've got, it's like we've got an account for each individual customer. And what we would propose to do and go to the industry standard is we would group them into low, medium, and high strength customers. And we know what those are based on their land use categories and their what types of uses that they have. And as you can see on the right here, we've got in the really small print, the strength of discharge. And what really costs you at your sewage treatment plant is to treat the strength of discharge. And we've already come up with a classification to take these existing 125 accounts and layer them into these 3 accounts. The preponderance of them are in commercial 1, which is standard domestic strength. So what we would do is we would go from 25 base accounts and 19 volume accounts to 3 types of accounts. And we'd like to consider that.
Can I ask you a question about that, please?
Sure.
What is so when you talk about this, are you talking about the administrative time that it takes and the management time that it takes to manage these accounts by having, what was it, 19 versus 3?
Well, the problem is the 19 accounts now, and they've got individual rates for each one of them. We don't understand where those rates came from. They've morphed over time to the point where it's not only got 25 accounts for those customer classes, all those 25 accounts are getting the $78.71 a month. That's not a problem at all.
Is each category then based on usage? Like if they use this much, they're here and or is it also other things like number of employees?
It's based on what we've got here is EPA guidelines and American Public Works Association. You're not going to believe this, but they've done studies and they've studied the composition of sewage for different types of land uses. Like when we do transportation, we've got the Institute of Transportation Engineers. We know what almost every type of land use, how they generate trips. The APWA has a similar situation for sewage. So we know that a restaurant of a certain type generates this type of sewage. whereas a 7-Eleven generates this type, whereas a CPA's office generates this type. So we can classify those, and we can do away with this 19 volume charges that we really don't understand right now.
I do want to build on that. To go back to what you said, yes, it does administratively help us a lot because each one of these, this is the list actually. Each one of these every month has to be calculated individually based on those customer types. So when you do standardize it like that, it does clean up the amount of work staff has to do.
So this was going to be one of my questions at the end, and I think it's appropriate to ask now because I think this is related to what we're talking about. But it says, the way the city charges a sewer volume charge to commercial industrial customers is cumbersome and inconsistent with industry practice. Is that statement directly what we're talking about right now?
Yes.
Yes.
That is what you see that is the industry standard.
On the right is what the industry does now. Once again, this is how St. Helens does it. The brown box is how St. Helens does it right now. That's how Portland does it right now.
So what was the rationale for eliminating the SIC codes? What was the rationale for getting rid of the SIC codes at the federal level?
Oh, they went to a new nomenclature over 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was revenue or what it was, but the federal government went away from it because it was no longer what they wanted.
Okay.
So now they've got a whole new Naruk, alphabet soup kind of code, but it's different.
So we're only charging them on average $24 a month for.
If that, yeah, depending, and it's each individual customer depending on their flow. The preponderance of the revenue that you get from the commercial class is still that base charge.
So they're only paying 6 cents per 100 gallons.
Right.
On average, roughly.
No,
each one is-
each customer class in the commercial has its own rate based on those loading factors.
So what can you say, like an average?
We'll get to that in just a second. Go ahead. Next slide. What we've got here now is, well, maybe if I didn't answer your question fairly. Let me restate your question.
I want to know how their rates on average compare to the current base volume rates, the 6 cents per 100 gallons.
Well, they're currently paying a lot different than 6 cents. The multifamily and the single family,
Not terribly far off. Averaging about 10.
about 10 cents.
Okay, so this would be a significant increase on commercial volume.
The reason that it is, so I want to go back and reiterate this. We've had to adjust all of these based on the assumed that we're going to do the reduction to the multifamily. If we don't, these that you just saw on the previous slide will not be that high.
Right.
We have to maintain that $3.1 million for the current fiscal year. We're estimating 3.2 for next year. That known revenue for the wastewater department has to maintain. So that's where Steve said earlier that those other customers have to make up that reduction because we have to stay stable financially. So these are all being increased to compensate for that lost revenue.
If you choose not to do that, we also, Ben, smart guy, asked, well, what if council says they don't want to do it? What would the rates be for the commercials? And we ran that case too, and they would be significantly lower. They'd be 10 cents for the class 1, 15 cents for the class 2, and
So you work the numbers to get to 3.1 million.
that's
You can't drop off, not do the multifamily, but still do the commercial and.
So at the end of the night, that's ultimately what we're looking for is, are you wanting or okay with this reduction to the multifamily? Question 1. Question 2 is can we move forward with this commercial restructuring? Because at the end of the day, that's ultimately what we do care about. Steve and I are both neutral on the housing. That's really in your wheelhouse of
yeah,
how you
it
feel
is. It
about
really
that.
is.
For public works perspective or finance, we're neutral on that. That's whatever industry standard you want to follow, whether you want to get on board with that or not. At the end of the day, all I really am hoping for is that we can restructure to simplify, because as customers come in and for current staffing, cleaning this up is long overdue. This should have been done a while ago.
Yeah.
But it wasn't completely broken, so we didn't fix it. We're just utilizing this opportunity. We're in front of you. The timing is right. Let's engage in this.
And once again, remember, they're 3%, 2% of your total revenue is coming from the commercial class. So it's not a big revenue if we change this or don't change it, but we'd like to. What
With-
this chart shows,
If I may,
Sure.
With 25 different codes presently for commercial entities. So a new commercial entity establishes and requires sewage. How are they assigned? Are they assigned to one of the 25? Do we create a 26th? Is it closest?
No, there
estimate?
is industry standards based on use type. We just narrow the window down so there's not quite so many, but you still, based on the type of your business, there'll be criteria that you'll be like, oh, you're a restaurant 24 hours. We will have a flat known, which like you said, is commercial one, I believe, typically for that type of customer.
No, but
So that criteria will be established. It's just not as extensive as this list.
well, no, I was just trying to come to an understanding of how it's done presently with 25.
So you look at the business type and you match it to one of these as close as you can,
Yeah.
which is usually relatively easy to do. This is pretty explicit.
But consolidating down to 3 would be substantially easier.
Yes.
Much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good point.
Dave, can I ask you a question really quick? Can you remind me, are Spring Meadows and the other park that was referenced, are they under the multifamily or are they considered commercial?
They are currently under multifamily, and that's just the rates that they file. That's Spring Lake and Crown Park. And they are currently under the multifamily classification. We're simply proposing to set a new code in the billing system that would establish them as an identified class, but same rates. They'd still be under those rates.
The same rates as the recommended new multifamily. Here's what I'm struggling with, because those manufactured homes probably have 2 to 3 bedrooms in them, and then we're going to go lump them with apartments.
We would not offer this to them. Okay. They would be treated as any other single family home. They have a yard to water. They have the things that most single family, and you're right, probably more than likely there are at least 2 bedroom, if not 3 bedroom homes in there. Don't know that for certain, but we do intend to leave them a single family, and they would not qualify for this reduction.
But if Spring Meadows is master metered, how would it all be under the single family rate then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what they do is EDU. So for each home, you get the base charge times that many homes. I can't remember what 140, 144, whatever's in there. So
147.
they pay that times the 78, 71.
Right. Right.
And then he pays the usage, whatever that whole
Correct.
unit usage.
Correct.
is, he pays
Correct.
that amount.
That's correct.
I just have a problem that it's really not a savings to the user, it's more savings to the landlord. That's.
You got
so
it.
Yeah. I'll get to my
You got it. I mean,
recommendation.
I thought this was going to be hard to explain to you guys. Jeez.
Yeah,
You're way past it.
following on Counselor Santiago, if you look at the number of dwelling units in the multifamily, we're talking about 19% of our housing stock, and we don't know of the 19% that are renters, how many are going to benefit from this. But inversely, we do know that 81% of the housing stock is single family or people that would be impacted. So we know
Right.
81% will be impacted. We have no idea what percentage of the 19.
Yeah, and the
would
way
get
we were
it,
going to
so-
approach this is we're not going to go knocking on doors. If this were to be put in place, then each of those property owners would have to come forward with some sort of certified document that says X amount of our units are studio, X amount are 1 bedroom, and so on and so forth. And then they would get the credit towards the applicable amount of units.
You nailed it. Yeah, I mean, you absolutely hit it. It's the law of large numbers here.
Well, there's just a lack of data to support this
Absolutely.
view with how many units are in
Absolutely.
each one of these, or how many bedrooms are in each of these apartments too.
And
So
you're not compelled by law to do this. This is a request of a customer. So what this chart shows is just simply, where are we getting who's getting, if you chose to go with the discount would go to the multifamily at 125,000. We would recover it from the single family, and as you can see, the commercials would be based on a restructuring. There would be a commercial increase there. Go ahead, next slide, Susan, then we can bring this in for a landing. I think you guys, you've all got it. So here's the policy stuff again. On the left is the detriment, the negative. For the single family class, bigger class, greater cost recovery. You're going to raise their bills by $2.09 a month. Multifamily, by allowing the rate reduction for the 1 bedrooms, they're going to get, as a class, $125,000 of less revenue responsibility. A lost revenue must be recovered from other classes. We've been harping on. On the commercial industrial, businesses that use a lot of water will see their sewer bills go up. We don't have any large water consumptive industries here. You know, Steinfeld Pickle isn't here anymore. We don't have any large water consumptive type businesses.
We do have a lot of industrial land and with the potential of
With the
industrial,
potential.
but that's negotiable. Like you said, it varies. That one
There you go.
Because, yeah, a couple of the people that have looked out here, water is an issue, and whether we even have enough, so that would become an issue, but that we can negotiate rates.
Absolutely. In terms of the attributes here, for the single family, it's the biggest class. It's got the biggest revenue responsibility. Rates for the multifamily, we will recognize that small apartments use less water, Councilor Santiago, but we don't know who, and we don't know how much, and we don't know if they're going to benefit from it. And then finally, the commercial industrial, a new rate structure conforms to industry standards. So is there another slide, or was that it?
And I'd like to add one more benefit in there for the commercial. Talking to our city engineer, he had mentioned when we went through this, our current rate structure largely under favors commercial, like they're not necessarily paying.
Oh, no, yes. The commercial class is being subsidized by the residential class right now. There's no question about that.
So that is another part of the conversation of
But
how
that
we
was-
shift some of that over to the commercial side.
So here's the ask, and then we'll shut up. Does the council, like Dave pointed out, question one, does the council want to afford the multifamily class a discount?
I'm a no.
No.
Great. Then the next question, if yes, doesn't matter. Going forward, staff proposal to push greater revenue responsibility to the volume charge. We want to do that. Your sewer rates now are effectively fixed with that $78.71, and the average customer gets a 4,000 gallon credit in his base charge. He's paying basically no volume charge. So in terms of making rates avoidable and controllable in the future and promoting conservation, we want to, as we go forward, we're not going to do the big bang now, but we want to move more of that to the volume charge in the future to give customers the ability to avoid and control. And as you all know, over the next 5 years, your sewer rates are going to be coming under pressure because you're spending a lot of money on a new wastewater treatment.
That was my point. We're spending 20 million on a first phase, and how are we looking on that?
There will be pressure on your sewer rates going forward.
And this 78, 71, is that tied to a index that does go up every year, every 2 years?
You're faced with one more 7% year, and then after that, if everything looks good in alignment with the loan payments, then we'll just follow the CCI like water and all the other rates are.
Can you adjust it then to be more usage based versus?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. That's for another day. Finally, regardless of the council's direction on the multifamily rate reduction, staff wants to move forward with the restructuring of the commercials as we've discussed. There's not going to be a big impact because like Ben had asked, Steve, if the council says no to this reduction of the multifamily, what's that going to look like for the volume charges? And we've already got that number calculated. And instead of being 30 cents, 90 cents, $1.20, it's going to be 10 cents, 15 cents, and 25 cents. And we've got those numbers. So there's not going to be a big impact there, but we're going to be more organized around industry standard. But going forward, I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to have pressure on your sewer rates if that $20 million blossoms into some kind of cost that's what we haven't had anticipated.
And those numbers are if we don't change one at all. I mean, the option one, we don't raise it from 0.065 to 0.1. I mean, if we're not going to do the new reducing the multifamily, are we looking at raising them regardless?
What we would likely do at this juncture is come before you with one more work session. Now that we have a little bit of direction, we'll go back and play with some more numbers, look at the commercial restructuring, confirm the rates. I still think that it's worth looking at doing that because there is so much free. We're bringing in pennies for these customers. It's almost not even worth the exercise when you see it on paper every month. And I think that we should go that direction, and Steve can run the exercise against that 7%. And maybe we can even dial back the forecasted 7 a little bit and then bring these commodities into it. I don't know. That's just an exercise we need to run, but it's food for thought in my mind.
Mine, obviously, I'm the one, I do hate to raise rates on the or the single families at this time in this environment, but understanding their costs are going up, and so I'd like to minimize that increase as much as possible. I'm kind of neutral on the multifamily. I'd love to be able to find a way to save the apartment renter something, but you can't, like you said, we can't guarantee they're seeing the savings here.
Right.
So I don't know if there's options for them, and then definitely in favor of keeping the commercial in line
Okay.
and updating that is kind of my thoughts.
Yeah,
Why don't we do that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think also for me, there's not enough compelling data to look at the multifamily and arrangement because, again, there's no data on how many bedrooms each of these apartments have. There's no data on if that savings is going to be passed on to the actual renters. All of that is missing important data for us to really be able to think about this further.
And those are contractual relationships between private parties that we don't get involved in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my point is that to the apartment owners,
Right.
by all means,
Right.
come up with a presentation that's compelling, and I'm sure we'd be willing to listen to it. But there's insufficient data to be able to.
Agreed.
And I too believe I'd like to see more 2 and 3 bedroom apartments if they go apartments, because I like to be able to see families be able to afford them and stay versus a lot of 1 bedroom or studio type apartments. I had my brother. So this doesn't benefit.
No, the workforce housing conundrum is driving us all crazy. There's no easy answer here because the cost of construction far exceeds the affordability index of these individuals. And until we get that figured out, I don't know how we're going to fix it.
And Jim,
So-
is there not data on how many 1 bedrooms and multi-bedroom dwellings there are in these buildings? There must be.
I mean, when they went through land use, but a lot of those apartments are older, like much, much older than the point where we have our code where they would have to go through and because yes, you do for parking and things like that. You do have to list it, but if it's older than, the late 90s, then no.
I think we know what complex we're talking about though. It's pretty modern. So would there not be records of how many 1 bedrooms are in that?
Yeah, if it is more modern, you could figure it out.
Well, I think this brings up an opportunity though too. I mean, maybe we should look into some way of tracking the apartment complexes that we have and going forward too, so that if we do need this data in the future, we have it.
Amen.
That's all we had. Thank you. What we would do, we've got good direction from you tonight. We heard loud and clear. We are not going to do that $125,000 reduction to the multifamily at this time because there's no compelling data or evidence to support it. We will go back and we will recalibrate all of the rates, so we'll have hard rate figures for you. Mayor, you're right. The single family is not going to go a hit. The only thing that's going to impact them is this allowance. Do we allow 4,000 gallons, so effectively everything is included in the base, or do we reduce that allowance and then give an incentive to reduce water consumption? That's a policy call that you're going to want to think about. I know you're a fan of that. Joel's been a fan of that for years. We'll come back, Ben, at your pleasure before budget time sometime this winter and bring this in for a landing. And I think we'll be rearranging furniture more than anything else. So thank you very much. This is helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.